Hey class, it's Dr. Diaz, and this is exciting because we are wrapping up our class, and boy, what a journey it's been. And it's only half the journey because we get to be together in Psych 520 and see your research come to life. This is the video that's going to talk about the review of the work you did in Module 9 and what to come and do on your final module, Module 10. So you guys have been working very hard, and it's time to discuss all your hard work. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a quick wrap up of Module 9 that you did. So Module 9 had you do a pass or fail 10-point assignment where you become certified, well not certified, but you complete a course and you get a certification to understand what it means to do research with human subjects. And the other piece of Module 9 was your discussion. So this was a very straightforward week, not much guesswork. Everyone, completed the certification, received the certificate, and got the credit. The only way you didn't receive credit for this assignment was if you didn't do the certification and took the course, so you need to do that. The second piece of the week 9 was you did your discussion. Things are looking great on the discussion wise. This is our 9th week doing them. I would assume by now you guys have taken all the feedback I've given you and have incorporated it into your discussions, making them substantial, putting in sources. So if that's something you still need to do, you're going to have to do it. And if you're coming into Psych 520, this is the continuation course of 510. It's the same ground rules for the discussions there. So that's going to just be the basic wrap-up of the work you did in Module 9. Let's talk about Module 10 and the work you're going to do and what's expected. Module 10, this is a module that is not only your final one, not only does it encompass everything you've done and culminates to a final project, but it also is the beginning for what you're going to take into Psych 520. So I have my computer here, and looking at Module 10, you have to do your final project, your capstone project, your final project research proposal, and a discussion. Let's start with the easiest thing and just say that the discussion, make sure to read the directions, write accordingly, make your posts to your friends, your classmates substantial. Give feedback, but engage. Provide rich and clarifying detail. And the only way that can happen is detail that is clarifying is backed up with sources. So there's the expectations and how to use the rubric for the discussions in week 10. And let's get to the meat of this. I know everybody's waiting for this, and it is understanding how to write your final project for Module 10, submitting your research proposal. So in front of me here I have my rubric for the final project. And before we get into it, I just want to say that, one second. I just want to say that this is a culminating project. This builds upon all the work you've done in our class thus far. So to make this easy and understandable, a research proposal has 3 chapters. A research paper has 5. A research proposal is the beginning writings of the first 3 chapters. You have chapter 1 is your introduction, chapter 2 is your literature review, and chapter 3 is your methodology. Now, chapter 4 is the results, and chapter 5 is the discussion. That's in an empirical research study. That's what gets published. That's what you guys have been reading for your lit reviews. They have 5 chapters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A research proposal happens before a study takes place, so it can be approved to be conducted. And in a research proposal, you have to write the first 3 chapters saying what you're going to do in your study. So you right now have already written a problem statement, which is kind of like an introduction. You've written a literature review, which is like a chapter 2. And you just recently, in Module 8, you wrote your methodology section, which is like Chapter 3. So in a research proposal, intro, lit review, and methods, you're good. That is a research proposal. Now that is what you're doing in Psych 510. You're creating a research proposal. Our class is calling it a research project, final project, but it is in essence a research proposal. So what you're going to want to do is take this mindset that you are putting together all the work you've done so far to form a research proposal. You will have a Chapter 1, a Chapter 2, and a Chapter 3. So not only do you need to use your sources from your literature review, go back further to your annotated bibliography, which now serves as a reference for you and a wonderful guide of a lot of hard work you did, so you can use it. And that's how you're going to approach this rubric for the final research project. You got to think of it as, I'm making a research proposal. I'm telling Dr. Diaz my problem, what I'm curious about, the current research that's been done on it, and how you are going to conduct your research, which is your methods. Okay, so now that we've built that mindset, we can go into the rubric and we can start to see how Chapters 1, 2, and 3 take place and what you need to do to write this. And really, what you want to start off with is getting your problem statement, your research question and hypothesis to form Chapter 1, get your literature review that you wrote prior to form Chapter 2, and get your methods paper that you wrote to form Chapter 3, and you're going to integrate all of these into a final research project or paper. And that's what you're doing for Module 10. Now, if you did not write one of those sections correctly and you put that in the final project, your work is still going to be graded accordingly to the rubric. And we're still going to be looking at the same standards. So what I'm saying is, if it wasn't right before, it's not going to change and be correct a second time in a paper. It's going to still be incorrect. So you want to make sure that the work that you're doing is correct. Okay? Alright, so let's start. Let's look at the problem statement. I'm in the rubric now. This is the final project rubric. I have it open. I am looking at the first content item, which is called problem statement. Now's a good time if you want to pause and go get your rubric to follow along. And let's take a look. Problem statement. What we're going to want to look at here is exemplary. Meets proficient criteria and provides specific, concrete examples linking the topic to real-world issues. Now, these are the same things that were in your rubrics in past assignments when you were writing these exact things. So, as I go through these, you're going to may feel as though these are redundant, and it's purposefully done this way to keep consistent in your writing and to ensure that you are meeting the standards for an accurate research proposal. Okay, so your problem statement meets proficient criteria and provides specific, concrete examples linking the topic to real-world issues. The proficient describes the general topic of the proposal and its importance and relevance to the real-world issues. So Chapter 1, you're going to need to state your problem. And I'm going to have to create an example as I go through this for you so you can show how I could show you how I would do this. So let's say Dr. Diaz's research proposal, I want to do a study on students who watch videos to learn versus those who do not. And my hypothesis is the students who watch videos from their teacher are going to get better grades than the students who do not watch the videos from their teacher. Okay, so if that's my initial desire for this research project, my problem statement is going to be a paragraph or two that's going to open up and talk about the reason I'm conducting this and how it's relative to the real world. And I can only do that by citing existing sources. So I would say current research has shown that additional curricular Additional curricular activities help increase GPA and grade performance within a classroom. Students who go the extra mile and take notes, download lectures, watch videos have been linked to high performance and grades. And currently, not enough students are taking advantage of this, or currently, not enough professors are providing this, and it's something that students need but aren't receiving. So all of a sudden, you can see how I'm forming a problem statement, and I'm showing you how what I want to study links to real-world issues. In higher education, we're seeing a vast majority switch to online learning. In the past 10 years or 5 years, online universities have tripled in number, and you're going to cite your sources for all these claims that you're making. Smith and Johnson of 2010 found that online learning has caught up with live or in-class learning, and that these students are at an advantage if they take advantage of online video support from their teachers, etc. I'm building a case for my study. So then I would say the following study aims to look at how students who watch online learning videos in their classroom do better than those who do not. And then you move into your literature review. So your lit review will be the same as the one you wrote last time. Let's take a look. Existing research. And remember, your annotated bibliography had a minimum of 8 sources. I would hope you use all of those and more, but you could have a minimum of 8 sources for your paper. Put them all in your final paper. It's important. I think you put them all in your literature review, so you'll be okay. Meets proficient criteria and provides an especially well-integrated discussion of the key themes of the articles. So you're going to want to look over existing research. The proficient says summarize existing applicable research utilizing peer-reviewed resources. Not only are you going to do that to meet exemplary, but you're going to have a well integration of a discussion of the key themes from the articles. So if in my little pretend study, what if I found articles that talk about online learning, technology and education, and academic success in hybrid classrooms? Those would be my key themes. I would talk about them. I would integrate what I found in my sources and have them match. This can only be done if you have more than one source to talk about. Of course, you guys did 8 sources. A minimum of 8 was done for your annotated bib, and then you used those 8 sources in your literature review. Moving forward, research designs. You're going to identify different research designs used to generate knowledge. You're going to tell me what kind of research design the studies had. And again, this is just using your literature review that you already wrote, so if you got a good grade on that and you feel comfortable using it, then you can just use your literature review. Review, advantages and disadvantages. Provides concrete examples of the literature of the advantages and disadvantages of the research designs. So, to say this, you would be saying, I could say in my study, Carey and Westfeld, 2012, used opinionative surveys to assess whether students favored online videos. And I could say, I don't like this research design for a specific reason, of course, and say that this is an advantage or a disadvantage when looking at what I want to study. So you're going to want to use those types of ways of saying this is an advantage or this is a disadvantage. Perhaps they only surveyed students who never took an online course. I would say this study shows a disadvantage because those interviewed had never taken an online course before, and we would want participants to have at least had one online learning experience, that type of way. Okay, the appropriateness. Evaluate the appropriateness of the research design to the research question. Does what the literature that you found, does it line up to what you want to study, basically? Determines the most appropriate design, providing justification, gives the nuanced understanding of appropriate research design. So after you show the advantages and disadvantages, you're going to talk about what would be appropriate for your study. So if I found a previous study got the opinions of students who never took an online course, and I want to show an advantage of video watching for online students, I would say it would be appropriate that a study be using participants who have had online learning experiences as opposed to those who have never been in an online class. And you would go further and discuss the appropriateness for the lit review. Next, on the unknown section, you're going to talk about what is still unknown. Summarize what is unknown about certain areas of the topic. Utilize applicable research on the topic. So you're still going to tell me what is unknown so far in the lit review, in current research. So in my study, what if I never found anything that said online video watching is beneficial for grades? I could say what is still unknown about this field is current research has not conducted any study that shows whether or not there's an advantage for students enrolled in online learning to watch online videos by their instructor to promote or enhance grade performance. That's a good reason to conduct that study because it hasn't been done before. But more so, you don't want to do a study just for the sake that it hasn't been done. You want to give concrete reasons and justification as to why you want to do this. So further for me, not only should I do this because the study's never been done, but it's going to be an advantage to fully understand the effects and impact that online videos have for online students and academic performance, because we're seeing a larger number of students enrolling in online universities. That is a much more concrete and valid reason to conduct this study than simply saying, it's never been done before, so that's why I need to do it. That's going to not be the best route to go. Okay, principles and standards. You're going to talk about the APA's principles and standards, just like you did in your lit review. Not much more to say about that. It's very clean cut, very straightforward. Your research question and your hypothesis. Make a clean research question. You know, a good research question should always be able. You should always be able to find the dependent and independent variable in the question itself and see how the groups are going to be compared. So let me tell you my research question. Does online video watching have a significant effect on students who watch them versus those who do not? So, a significant effect in academic performance. So the independent variable is the online videos. The dependent variable is their academic performance because it's dependent on whether or not the student watches the video. And I have a control group and I have a treatment group. The control group is the group of students who do not watch the video. The treatment group are the students who do watch the online videos. So I was able to pull all of that out of one sentence of my research question. So you're going to want to think that way when you word your research question. Can I pinpoint an independent and dependent variable, and are my groups identifiable in the question? Your hypothesis is basically what you're going to think you will find in your study. So my hypothesis is, I hypothesize that the group of students who do watch online videos will have higher academic performance as compared to those who do not watch the online videos. And that's your hypothesis. Okay, we get into the last section, chapter 3 of your research proposal. It's called the methodology section. This is fresh on your brain right now. You just finished writing your methods section in week 8. So using this, we have participants. You need to tell me the number of participants that you want or expect to be in your study. Like you could say, I propose that 30 participants within the SNHU psych pool will be used for this study, but just make sure you specify a number. And that the participants, yes, you're all using the SNHU psych pool, but you can go further and tell me how they will align well to your research question. Like for my fictitious study I'm talking about, I could say that the SNHU psych grad pool will be utilized for my study. I hope to gain 30 participants I feel this population is beneficial as they are online learners, and since I'm assessing online learning, they are a adequate group to be measured. Something like that. The focus is I tied in the participants to my research question and proposed research project. All right, research methodology, materials. What are you going to use in your study, and why is that appropriate? What you're using is appropriate. I'm going to be using a survey. A survey is appropriate for online learning because all students can take it. It can be administered online. I can send the invite through email. Students can log in with a passkey. They can take the survey and complete it, and the results are immediately sent to me, something like that. Procedures. Procedures to collect the data and how the procedures will appropriately address the research question. So tell me not only what the materials you're going to use, like a survey, but tell me how you're going to use it. Ethical concerns. Please don't put down, I don't foresee any ethical concerns. I know a lot of you said that in your methods section, and it's probably true, like you don't foresee any ethical concerns. But again, that's the same mentality of saying, I'm doing a study because it's never been done before. You can always dig deeper, and instead of saying, I don't anticipate any ethical concerns, you could think more broadly and apply yourself and say, well, what ethical concerns could there be? What if there's a student who has anxiety when using a computer to take surveys because it feels like a test? Well, how would you account for the anxiety of a participant? Well, how would you account for students who do not have internet access and have to go to public libraries to do their coursework, and now you're asking them to do one thing more, and they have to take your survey, so they have to find more time to get to the library to get internet access to take your survey. You got to think bigger, think more broad than just saying I don't foresee any ethical concerns. Because I can guarantee you I can probably pull 5 ethical concerns out of any given study whatsoever. Data analysis plan. Prepare the raw data. Tell me how you're going to clean your data. Preparing raw data is another way of saying I'm going to clean my data. So how are you going to clean it? And to clean data means, what if you have missing observations? What if a student filled out 7 out of the 10 questions you gave them online and they left 3 blank? Do you omit that entire entry? Do you take the average mean of that question across all participants and fill in the blank with the average mean? What do you do? So you got to think about how you're going to prepare and clean your raw data before you analyze it. Okay, analytic procedures. You're going to tell me the procedures that you're going to use to analyze your data. This is going to be an SPSS. You may be looking at means, frequencies. Some of you are using t-tests. Some of you are using ANOVAs. But make sure you describe and explain to me how and what you're using and why. Okay, moving to descriptive statistics. You're going to want to give descriptive statistics, and these are defined as statistics or variables that help paint a picture of the population you're sampling. So let me tell you some descriptive statistics. Gender, age, social economic status, income, salary or income ranges, age ranges, anything that can describe your population. So tell me about your descriptive statistics and why you're using them and why they're important for your study. For example, my pretend study on online learning and video watching, my descriptive statistics are going to be gender. I want to know out of my participants who are male, who are female. I want to know their age group. Are they 18 to 25? Are they 26 to 30? Are they 31 to 35? Are they 36 to 40? Or are they 41 plus? I want to know their age groups. I want to know if this is the first time ever taking an online course, yes or no. I also would want to know how confident do they feel in their computer using skills. Confident, not so confident, very confident. Things that can describe my population. Okay. Principles and standards. You're going to discuss the APA ethical principles and standards and how they relate to your paper or research project. You can always turn back to week 9's discussion where you guys used the APA ethical standards in your discussion, which were phenomenal. But you're going to tell me more about how the proposed data analysis methods are ethical and outlined by the APA. What that means for you is if the rubric says you need to outline the APA, that means that you better bet your bottom dollar you're going to be citing and citing and referencing the APA standards. Okay, so that better be in your paper, and it should be in your reference section at the end, as well as cited in this paragraph. Okay, anticipated results. You're going to tell me what you anticipate to find. This is kind of tied to your hypothesis. So in my little study, if I hypothesize that students who watch online videos get better grades than those who do not, my anticipated results will be somewhat related and aligned well to that. You're going to come up with a rationale as to why you think the results are going to be predicted the way you have stated. So I may say, I may see a higher GPA or a higher grade performance for online video watchers than those who do not. And you can go deeper. You can say, perhaps I think by gender that women are going to watch more videos than men, and tell me why. I also predict that I'm going to see younger students than older because in age range groups, and tell me why. Well, you think that is so. All kinds of anticipated results can be discussed. And that wraps it up. And the last piece is in the rubric is called articulation of response, and that's kind of just a big summation of, is there errors? What type of errors are there? Spelling, citations, grammar, syntax, organization. So if you happen to write this paper and you hit almost all of them, but not all of them, maybe one or two of these, you do everything, but you don't write the APA principles and standards section. That's going to detract. There's going to be an error because there's a piece of the paper missing, and it takes away from the holistic understanding of the research project. So make sure you have every single content piece of the rubric put in your paper. Okay, so that wraps up this giant culmination for our class, the final project rubric. And again, I want to reiterate, you really should just take the work you've done and integrate it and merge it to form this project. But it's not as easy as it sounds. You just don't take it all, slap it in a Word doc and hand it in. It's got to flow. It has to have integrative paragraphs, meaning transitions need to be evident. So you move from chapter 1, your problem statement, it's got to flow into your literature review. Your literature review needs to flow into your methodology. It's got to be a concise single paper. It just so happened that you've already previously written each section separately. So now you need to do a good job integrating and incorporating your work. Also, I would say one last thing to end on is, if you are comfortable with what you've done so far and you feel you did a good job integrating, look over your work once more as a complete one-piece project or one whole paper now. Go through the rubric with your paper, read your paper as you follow along the rubric, and ask yourself aloud, did I meet this content in the rubric? Did I meet the problem statement? Look at your paper. Does it have a header? Does it say problem statement? And you read it. How do you feel about it? Look at your literature review. Look at your paper, look at your rubric, and say, did I discuss existing research? Did I discuss research designs? Advantages and disadvantages? Did I discuss the appropriateness? Did I talk about what is unknown? And did I talk about principles and standards? And if you say yes, then move forward. If you say no, stop and correct your paper until you feel comfortable that you've covered every single piece of this rubric. Move forward to the methodology section. Say, did I state the participants? Did I put a number down? Because you're reading your paper while you're reading your rubric. Did I discuss procedures, ethical concerns? Did I talk about the data analysis on how I'm going to prepare my raw data and clean it? Did I talk thoroughly about my analytic procedures and descriptive statistics? Are all these headers in your paper, by the way? Am I going to look at your methodology section and be able to see participants? Boom. Descriptive statistics? Boom. Principles and standards, boom. Anticipated results, boom. They all need to be they need to contain headers and subheaders. And if you need to learn about that, go to Purdue OWL and look at how to have APA style headers and subheaders. Those are very important. And did you end with anticipated results? Once you've officially done this and you say, yes, I met everything, your paper is safe to be submitted. And you've officially completed steps to form an official research proposal, and we will conduct the research in 520, where you do your results and your discussion piece. I hope I've answered all your questions. I hope I've made this as clear as possible, walking you through the rubric. I hope you found this video informative. I know you guys are working right now on it, so I'll leave you to it. Have a good night, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.